Roman are the last WrestleMania Dream Match. Let's be real. No, let me be real with you. I do think The Rock versus Roman Reigns is the final WrestleMania Dream Match we can produce now. Oh boy, so in a world of missed opportunities, such as Sting and Undertaker, even though it would never have lived up to a 20 plus year hype because that would just be absolute bonkers, um, there would have been a chance to do a cinematic match, but Vince was reportedly just not interested in doing the match because fuck money, right? Like, if it was because of medical reasonings, fine, I would have bought into that. But no, it was because Vince was never interested in that match because he's a dumbass. So we have one last dream match left to do in the WWE, and this could be the great shot in the arm it so desperately needs. The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, aka the guy who's real big in Hollywood right now, going one on one with his cousin Roman Reigns, the tribal chief of the Anoa'i family, or as he's also known as the Mad Dog, with Paul Heyman by his side. So, this has been a dream match for many people for the last several years. But the idea of Roman Reigns and The Rock at the time back then was like, it could never work. Like, Rock's probably not going to be able to do the match because, Hollywood's coming in and saying all this stuff, telling you can't do this, you can't do that because we have insurance policies on you. And if you get hurt, we get to pay a huge chunk of it to you and whatnot to cover your medical expenses. And we don't want to do that. So after your Cena match, it was over. But now, as we march on to WrestleMania next year and potentially in 2022, there is word going around that we may, in fact, see The Rock return one last time to fight and put over his cousin Roman Reigns as who is the dominant head of the table, the multi-billion-dollar actor in Hollywood or the wrestling juggernaut. So it's the last WrestleMania Dream Match WWE can produce right now if only Hollywood gets their head out of their asses. Or at least this one I at least understood. Because The Rock's last match, he got hurt and he was supposed to work Extreme Rules, and that would have been hell. If he had to wrestle in an Extreme Rules match, that would have been hell. But, yeah. So, there is a connective history with The Rock and Roman Reigns on television. Like, The Rock was powerbombed by Roman in the Shield run during his feud with CM Punk, and that was an okay match. It's a good match. It's a guilty pleasure for me. It's a great 4-star match for me. But yeah, I get why people don't like the match because of how it ended, but that's beside the point. But there's that, and there's also the connective history with The Rock and Roman Reigns on television, where The Rock defends and protects Roman Reigns from the outside interference of Kane and Big Show after they got eliminated from the Royal Rumble match, which was an epic disaster in and of itself to show that not even the freaking Rock can put Roman over. But now, that was 2015 though. We move onwards to 2020, and after WWE finally did the big heel turn in the middle of a pandemic, which is a question I have for other reasons, Roman Reigns finally crossed the dark side and became the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and essentially became the mad dog when Hell in a Cell happened. And now people are like, they have to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Like, they can't just not be doing all this stuff with the Usos and this lineage of families and legacy, and Roman Reigns saying he's the powerful one of the family. He's the tribal chief. When Dwayne The Rock Johnson's making bank at Hollywood, and he has a more bigger legacy than Roman ever had. So they have to do this match. They could be stupid not to. Or at least they could say, we tried to do this match, but Hollywood wouldn't do it. Because that at least would have been understandable. But yeah, The Rock was reportedly. So Fox Sports announced on their Twitter account that The Rock would be appearing on a special edition of Talking Smack for an interview with Fox Sports on-air talent Jay Glazer, which was an odd thing because they never plugged the appearance on the website or their social media channels. And the interview was mentioned once by the announcers during the end of SmackDown to plug in Talking Smack. And we were all hyped, thinking like, "Oh, this is gonna have Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman do something, and they're gonna tease the match just to get a seed planted there for future plans." And then the Talking Smack show aired, and they were like, "Son of a bitch, they got us again. Where will we wake up?" So I don't know if WWE thought this was a great idea or Fox thought this was stupid because they're that desperate. But The Rock wasn't at the Talking Smack event. No. Oh, they did an interview with The Rock. An old interview from November 24th. But it's The Rock, right? Right? And everyone was like, "Oh, damn it. That was so, like, he could have done the interview. He, like, even just a satellite appearance, man. He could have done it. What was it, too expensive? I'm sure The Rock would have done it for free because he loves WWE so much. They gave him his career, essentially. But, yeah, the fake advertising they pulled. Like, they gave us The Rock, just a pre-taped version that already aired on TV, but they re-edited it to make it look like it was new. And this was from the Instagram talk show One Glass with Glazer. So, yeah. Everyone was pissed off about that. Understandable. Because we all got the theory that since WWE has been pushing for this, and The Rock wants it, he wants to put over Roman. But because Hollywood's like, "Nope, Rock, you have an insurance policy with us. So unless you want to get rid of that, and plus you're our biggest star for big major movie productions, we wouldn't agree to it. You're screwed." Unless WWE would recoup the cost. Like, I'm pretty sure WWE would pay it if it means they could get Roman. Just do it. Like, this is a match that would bring a ton of people involved. Like, this is what I believe about when it comes to using veterans and nostalgia factors, and especially mainstream stars. Use the mainstream stars and nostalgic factors elements as a way to bring in fans, mainstream fans, bring them in, but use the talent you have that wrestles full time and are part of the new generation, and have them be the big focus. Like they're brought in by the old and stuff, by the old guys, by the old veterans, by the old guard, but they stay because of the new talent. It was a lot like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Like, we all remember the irresistible force meets the immovable object, but in terms of what kept them around, it wasn't the big spectacle. It was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Randy Savage, the Macho Man. Oh yeah. That's what kept them around. That's what kept people to say, "I'm gonna tune in on this." Like this is a spectacle in and of itself, but this is something I need to see. So you got that, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this has to be the match that really gives Roman Reigns his big break, and especially it would benefit anyone who beats Roman. Imagine this: The Rock is this mainstream guy. He loses to Roman, one of the greatest of all time to ever lace a pair of boots, loses to Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania, or part of the main events, and plus it boosts up the Universal title by a massive factor because it desperately needs it. Even with Roman's work. But moving on. Imagine if they did that. Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Roman defeats The Rock at WrestleMania. Then we have Roman Reigns be even bigger of a star. He'd be up in that atmosphere with the superstars like Austin and Rock. Like, okay, in terms of mainstream attention. And you also could go ahead and then build up another young talent, and whoever defeats Roman will be an even bigger star than they would have already been if they beat him without The Rock. They would be bigger star if they beat Roman, who beats The Rock. That is a formula that should work. It should theoretically work. The only thing that would stop it is audience retention interest in it. Like, the best way to, like, one of the big factors is telling a good story. That's one thing. Good quality matches, good quality story. And there are times where people would rather watch an okay match if it meant bringing a phenomenal story. And there are those who hate it when there's a great match with no story. So imagine if you had no Kenny Omega and Okada without their story and connective histories. Without that story, that match would be a classic, but it wouldn't be as remembered much because you don't get the story. There's no story there. If Kenny Omega and Okada did not have a shared history, a build up, a story, and they were just like, let's slap this match, they can go at it for like 47 minutes. But you would lose the personal touch with those characters. Like, wrestling is not just wrestling anymore. Like, you can still call it wrestling, as much as Vince wants to say it's the N word, essentially. I'm still bugged by that. But Roman and Rock and these are all big, larger than life stories they want to create, larger than life athletes, these super powerful beings, and make the vibe of a comic book thing. So imagine, like, if Rock came back, was able to come back, even with Black Adam happening, Rock comes back, he takes on Roman Reigns, he puts Roman Reigns over, and imagine the promo that could happen between The Rock and this cutthroating Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Imagine the content that could come out of this. This would be epic level gold. Even though Roman is not on The Rock's level of trash talk, Roman brings the intensity. He brings the viciousness. And with this heel persona he's doing, he's more vicious than ever. That's why he's being called the Mad Dog by some people on the internet. And Paul Heyman by his side, even Paul Heyman wasn't scared of Brock. He knew how to work with Brock. Roman, he only knew how to work with Roman as a face. But every time when Roman got angry, Paul Heyman was like, I think I crapped my pants. Essentially, when he gets that look, when Roman Reigns says, I asked you to go ahead and be my eyes. You did not do that. You will pay the ultimate price. Essentially, he's the guy that threatens to kill Heyman. Like, and the way Roman carries himself now as a heel, he's like a mafia guy. Like that interview with Jey Uso he did, where he told him that you're going to quit, you're going to submit. He comes off like this powerful mafia boss leader, and like, I love you, and I will destroy you, and whatnot. It's not personal, strictly business. But like, and plus, I think this would also give great character development for the Usos. Those because now the Usos get to choose: do they side with The Rock because he's making a claim towards the table, or is it Roman, or do they not get involved and just watching the sidelines and see where they go, and then afterwards, whoever loses gets beaten down by the Usos as a form of punishment for defiance against the chief, against the tribal chief. But yeah, and plus you gotta know this would be gold content if they do it right. Just let Roman, Rock, and Heyman just get together, work the promo magic, and just trash each other with violent threats. And The Rock with his great antics as The Rock, Roman with the cutthroatness, and Paul Heyman with the savaz and suave and whatnot he wants to get out, and sometimes animated attitude. But yeah, this is the one of the last remaining dream matches for WrestleMania that WWE can still do. We gotta hope that Hollywood can be convinced, or WWE can convince the Hollywood executives. Like, look, I know The Rock has all these commitments. I know he has all these schedules, but we want him for this. Imagine it. He goes ahead and does all this and brings in more people to come in. And imagine it could get you guys more people in your seats and to subscribe to your streaming services because you have movies with him. Like he's gonna be Black freaking Adam for God's sakes. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure Rock would try and use his leverage as much as he can to convince Hollywood executives to let him wrestle at the risk. And Hollywood can use, well, okay, we'll let him wrestle, but we're not covering the cost. You guys are if he gets hurt. We have a huge investment in him, and we're not going to pay a cent just to recoup the cost that you make with this. So, yeah. Come on, we gotta do it. It's either 2021 or 2022. We gotta get this match going. We gotta get a build up for it because Oh god. If they have to delay this to 2022 when the virus is settled down and people are able to attend more in crowds again, the level of work ethic that Roman's delivering every week since he went heel continues. I'm gonna be straight up honest. I think I would be all right if he had an Okada like reign. He's not the greatest wrestler like Okada or Kenny Omega are, but gets the job done. And he's being very damn good at his job. Imagine a 2-year reign. He takes on The Rock. Then like several months later, he puts over Big E. That would even make him an even bigger star than he already could have been. But yeah, this is my viewpoint of the last dream match of WrestleMania: The Rock versus Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief versus the Great One, the People's Champ, for the head seat of the Tribal Chieftain of the Anoa'i family. Come on, do it, man, do it! But that's all I'm gonna say today for this. This was Neo Reality, the WrestleVerse presents. That's the Rock versus Roman Reigns, the last dream match of WrestleMania. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other channels below in the description and in the names in the search bar. Or stay tuned for more. I'll see y'all next time. And come on, everyone. All parties, they gotta agree to this. Come on, let's do it. Do it!